Hi-ho everybody, this is Rob with Ear Scouts coming to you from Epcot, right in front of Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. This is one of the final remaining attractions here at Walt Disney World that has a virtual queue. That means that you have to get up early in the morning and fiddle with the My Disney Experience app and hope and pray that you're able to get a spot in that virtual queue so that you can ride this ride. Either that or paying for a spot is right now the only way you can ride it. I'm very happy to report, however, that starting February 25th, this virtual queue is going away. It's also going away over at Tiana's Bayou Adventure in Magic Kingdom. That means that on February 25th, there will no longer be any rides at Walt Disney World where you need to use a virtual queue. This is, of course, mainly really good news. There is a little bit of bad news in there as well, but let's start with the good news. Number one, if this ride is on your must-do list, you no longer need to panic that you're not going to be able to get that virtual boarding group, which is right now your only way to ride unless you want to pay for the privilege. Number two, it means you don't have to get up at 7 a.m. and fiddle with the My Disney Experience app, hoping and praying that you're going to be able to get one of those coveted virtual boarding group slots. And the number three piece of really good news is that you can get in this line anytime you want, as many times as you want. Unfortunately, there is also some bad news, and the bad news is that everybody else in this park can also get into this line whenever they want and as many times as they want. That means there's going to be some really long lines, especially on busy days. As I'm recording this, it is a random Tuesday night in February, and the line is coming out the door for this attraction, even though it's still using a virtual queue. If anybody who wanted could just go get in that line, I guarantee you it would be coming way, way, way out the door. In fact, Disney has already set up a whole bunch of umbrellas to the side of the attraction where I imagine they're expecting to have a large queue outside the building. From the entrance of this building, it can be an hour-long wait. So that means that just getting to that door is going to be an hour. And if you're in a wraparound queue on the outside of the building, you're looking at potentially hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours on really busy days. So our goal with this video today is not just to let you know that that virtual queue is going away, but it's also to give you some strategies that'll help you avoid the longest waits for this ride starting February 25th. Probably the best way to avoid a long wait for Guardians is going to be to use early entry. If you're staying at one of these qualifying resort hotels we're popping up on the screen, you have access to early entry at this and the other 3 parks here at Walt Disney World. That means you can get in 30 minutes before the regular park opening time for the day, and you can get a jump on all of those day guests at getting in line for this attraction. While early entry gives you 30 extra minutes, you're probably going to want to show up at the park well before that so that you can be on the front line of folks entering. If you're staying at a Disney Resort hotel, buses tend to start running at least an hour before early entry is set to begin. So that's an hour and a half before regular park open. They can, however, start running even earlier than that. So I think it's always best to be at that bus stop at least an hour and 15 minutes before early entry is going to begin if you want to be on that front line. The other early entry challenge here at Epcot is that there are actually 2 entrances into the park. If you're coming in by bus, you'll be coming in from the front entrance, which is great because that's going to be the closest to Guardians of the Galaxy. However, if you're coming in by boat, Skyliner, or one of the Epcot area resorts behind the park, you're going to come in through the International Gateway. Now, up until this change, the International Gateway was absolutely the best way to enter Epcot for early entry because Remy's Ratatouille Adventure was right there, and that was definitely the hottest ticket in town. As you can imagine, Guardians is definitely going to be the new hot ticket, and it is a long walk from the International Gateway all the way up here to Guardians. By the time you get here, all those folks who come in from the buses and the front of the park are already going to be in this line. Now we are going to redo our early entry video from the back International Gateway entrance, and we're going to test it out. We're going to see, does it still make sense to try to do Guardians of the Galaxy from there? So if you want to see that video, do be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring that bell, and then you'll be notified as soon as that video comes out. But what if you're not staying at one of those fancy resort hotels, or you just don't want to wake up in time to do early entry? The one thing I don't recommend doing is starting your day here if you don't have that early entry benefit. If you come in at rope drop, which is Disney speak for entering right at the moment regular park hours begin, you're going to find that the line at this attraction is already going to be crazy long. Obviously, it's never had a standby queue before, so we don't know, but we can look at rides like Flight of Passage and Rise of the Resistance, and in many cases, those rides have waits in excess of 2 hours, sometimes 2.5 hours before the park even opens. That's how many folks are in that line from early entry. What I would recommend if you're coming in at rope drop, check the wait times on the app. If it's already over 1.5 hours, you're probably better off enjoying some other attractions that have shorter waits and then coming back to ride this later in the day. There will definitely be some times throughout the day where that wait time is going to dip a little bit, and you'll see that on the app, but probably your best bet for a shorter wait if you don't have early entry is going to be at the end of the night. That's because here at Epcot, the big fireworks show happens right at the moment that the park closes. So everybody's going to be gathered around that World Showcase Lagoon for the fireworks show, and that means probably you're going to have a shorter wait to enter here. But there's another reason that you want to consider doing this last, and that is, as long as you get in that line just a moment before the park closes, they're going to let you stay in that line as long as it takes to ride the ride, assuming the ride does not go down. There is a risk there. If the ride goes down, you wouldn't get to ride it, but it's probably going to be a much shorter wait at that time, and you're not using any of your precious park time to wait for it. So I would say your best bet, if you don't have early entry, consider riding this one last at the end of the night. Of course, Guardians of the Galaxy is not the only ride that is losing its virtual queue on February 25th. The other ride, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, is actually going to need a completely different strategy if you want to avoid those long waits. So let's head on over to Magic Kingdom and we'll share our best tips for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. We've arrived at Magic Kingdom and we are right outside of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. This is one of the hottest lightning lanes in all of Walt Disney World right now. It's really between this and Slinky Dog Dash. If you're using Lightning Lane Multipass, those are the two toughest rides to book. Over at Epcot, you can get a Lightning Lane for Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, but that one is a single pass Lightning Lane, meaning you're paying for that one ride and that one ride only, whereas here when you get multi-pass you can ride all of the different rides here at Magic Kingdom, or if you have a park hopper ticket, at any of the parks. So it makes it a much better value, and it's easier to justify grabbing that one if you really want to use it for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Now, none of that is going to be changing when the virtual queue goes away. You'll still be able to use Lightning Lane Multi-Pass here at Tiana's to skip the longer queue, and you can also continue to use Single Pass over at Epcot for Guardians of the Galaxy. But if you want to use that standby queue with a shorter wait, your best bet here is not early entry. That's because here at Magic Kingdom, early entry is only available for Main Street USA, Fantasyland, and Tomorrowland. Tiana's over here is in Frontierland, meaning it is not available for early entry. Also, it's worth noting that most of the time it's not available for extended evening hours either. Extended evening hours is a special perk that is only for deluxe resort guests. We'll throw that list up on the screen. If you're staying at one of these resort hotels, you can gain access to extended evening hours here and over at Epcot, although it's only going to be one night a week. Typically, it's Wednesday night here at Magic Kingdom, and it's usually Monday night over at Epcot. Epcot. But guess what? While you might be able to ride Guardians over at Epcot during extended evening hours, here at Magic Kingdom, typically, especially this time of year, Tiana's Bayou Adventure is not offered. So it might be offered once it warms back up. It might be something that you'll find, but as of right now, it is not currently in the list of offerings for extended evening hours. So you can't do early entry. You can't do extended evening hours. When is going to be the best time to get a short wait here? Well, my friends, it's going to be rope drop. So you remember how I said over at Epcot, rope drop was a terrible idea for Guardians because all those early entry folks were going to be in line already. It's a great idea for Tiana's because none of those early entry folks have been able to get over here yet, so you can get first dibs on a great spot in this line. If you want to take advantage of that short wait right there at rope drop, I recommend getting here to Magic Kingdom even before early entry begins. That's because when they tap folks in, they don't tap in just the folks with early entry. They're going to tap everyone in, and they're going to check once you're inside the park to see if you have access to early entry, and then they'll let you into those lands that are available. But if you don't have access to early entry, you can go ahead and line up right at the Adventureland bridge. That's the place you're going to want to be, and they'll have a rope there, and you'll basically wait patiently at that rope for the park to officially open. They're going to drop that rope, and they're going to let everyone into Adventureland, Frontierland, and Liberty Square. I can pretty much guarantee this is going to be the new hottest ticket for rope drop. So if you want to do this attraction, you probably want to make this your first stop. Previously, most folks doing rope drop would be headed to Jungle Cruise. That's another really popular attraction over here. Or they would have done Big Thunder, which is unfortunately closed until sometime in 2026. But starting February 25th, you can bet the #1 rope drop attraction is going to be Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Now, if you're not here super early, you're not able to take advantage of rope drop, much like over at Epcot, I'd say keep an eye on those wait times and see if you find a lull at some point in the day. But you do want to be careful with Tiana. This ride goes down a fair amount, and sometimes when it goes down, it doesn't come back for the rest of the day. So I would recommend don't try that trick where you're going to wait till the end of the day to ride it. Try to get this one done as quickly as you can if it's important to you to make sure you get a chance to ride. Well, I hope this video has helped you feel really pumped about those virtual queues going away and simplifying your next trip to Walt Disney World, and I hope these tips are going to help you ride these rides with as short a wait as possible. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, help us out by giving it a like, subscribing to our channel, and then ringing that bell. That way you'll be notified whenever new videos like this come out. Before we go, I want to give a huge thank you to our Patreon family. Thank you so much for supporting us and making videos like this possible. If you'd like to join them and get access to exclusive bonus content, head on over to patreon.com/earscouts. Until next time, don't forget to think happy thoughts, everybody. We'll see you again real soon.